In Jacksonville, you try to come every year. What does coming here mean to you at all?
I mean, it's just so great to be around all of our Florida State family here in Jacksonville, and just excited about talking about all the things ahead with this 2025 football team, and this community means a lot to Florida State, and especially our football program. We've been able to sign a lot of great players out of this area, and it's good just to be here with our fans, and we know we'll be making the return trip here in August, a little bit of in our fall camp. So definitely try to get over as much as I possibly can.
So Jacksonville having a couple practices, that's going to stay for as long as you're here, hopefully.
Absolutely, it's it's a kind of one of those rite of passages for our team. I just already started praying right now for as hot and as muggy as we can get it. But definitely, it's a great getaway for our team, and it really is. Everybody at UNF has been so accommodating. When we've come over, and just the time that our players get together, kind of away from campus, it's really been great for team building, for building relationships, and then obviously we get after it out on the practice field.
Perfect, thank you.
How was spring practice? Do you feel like you guys have accomplished more than you set out for at the beginning?
No, I mean, we had big expectations for what we wanted to accomplish in spring, and I think the guys did a really nice job of their investment. And really, it started back in January for the team coming together, trying to work through and put ourselves in the best position through our winter program, carrying that over into spring ball. I really like the attitude, the approach, just the relationships that you saw that were being built, through competition, through guys challenging each other, the leadership that was starting to emerge, and I think that's critical. And it's one of those things we needed to see from our team, and I thought they definitely answered the call, throughout the practices that we were able to have.
How's Castellanos doing?
Tommy's doing a great job, and he's really come in. He's so very talented. He's got great skill, with his arm, with his legs. But the thing I've been so impressed with is just his leadership, and the investment he's making into his teammates. The way that he really just provides a spark. From the minute he steps on the field, guys offensively, defensively, they're just drawn to him, and he's been great for our quarterback room. I think that's a really a special room when it comes to the talent and ability that those guys have. But Tommy's just got one of those personalities that really draw people to him, and he puts a lot of time in building those relationships. So really pleased with what we've seen so far.
Is he training to be the starting quarterback this season?
I mean, he's putting himself in position to you talk about being a starting quarterback. Our expectations for him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And that's one of the challenges is, yes, every guy in that room is competing. Everybody's trying to push to be the best they can be. But we want to set the highest of expectations for what they're capable of, and you just go out every single day and try to live up to that.
Talk to me about Tayshawn, another local guy that you guys have. How's he adjusting over there?
He's done a remarkable job, and I think about his journey and just all the things that he's done, being able to graduate early, come in, really. He showed that he's in the right place, and for his size, his speed, obviously all the things that are in front of him. I'm just really looking forward to watching his future, and just the type of player that he can be. And he's a great young man, and he's been able to come back home a few times, and whether it was for his prom, obviously now coming back for graduation, but he's just a special young man, and going to be a great player at Florida State.
Another local guy in Sam Singleton. How's he shaping up on special teams, especially?
No, great. I mean, obviously he's a freshman All-American this last season. You had a couple of really big plays for us, and you see his confidence continuing to grow, and that showing up in the running back room, and he's a guy that I think has big play potential for us, and just is continuing to grow in his confidence and what he can do and what he can be for this team.
Isn't one of your D-line transfers from Jacksonville too?
Oh, we have we have a couple guys that are here from the area, and definitely excited about the group that we have as a whole, and just the way that they've been able to really kind of transition over. Obviously Jacksonville is a lot of great talented players, and being able to attract the right ones and get them to be able to come into the program and be able to have success with guys like KJ Kirkland, who obviously has taken over a big role within our defense, and just trying to make sure that we're attracting the best and the brightest out of Jacksonville to come and be the stars of the future for Florida State.
Coach, talking about the Alabama game in the new refurbished stadium, how excited is the team about that?
I mean, it's a huge showcase game, and obviously it's one of those games. That's why you come to Florida State. It's going to be nationally televised. It's going to be so much energy. But the thing I'm excited just for our fan base, just to be able to be back in a full capacity, Doak Campbell Stadium, all the new renovations. They've done a wonderful job in that, and I know our players are excited to run out of the tunnel there on August 30th, and it's all eyes on us, and it's what it needs to be, and we're excited for it.
Last season, do you just kind of throw it away? How do you learn from?
No, you don't. I mean, you go through highs and lows throughout life. Throughout your career. You never just dismiss something that might not go the way you want it to. It's you look back, you evaluate, you try to learn the lessons of where you can be better. Why certain things happen. Some things you can control, some things you can't control. But it's always about that constant push for improvement. And I think that you've definitely been a great edge within our team. With the way they've approached the work, through the winter program, through spring, and it's still the work that's necessary in front of us. Everybody can get excited and talk about what's ahead. We got to go live and be through our actions what we're capable of being. And I know our guys you're definitely fired up for this season, but I don't want to waste. Even though it wasn't anything good about the experience we went through, I don't want to waste those experiences. What absolutely can push us and help us grow to be all that we can for this season.
Jordan Travis retiring. Is there a possibility that he may have a coaching role or a job with you guys?
I think Jordan's going through this. Obviously a tough time, and this is a young man that put everything he had into his career, into our program. As he continues to kind of work through what his next step is. I mean, obviously we love him. He's like family to me, and if that's the path that he wants to go, I'm gonna work really hard to probably make sure that becomes our reality.
Coach, another local guy, Cheyenne Brown, who's really matured in your program. Talk about his future.
Yeah, Cheyenne came out of Lake City, and really is a guy that has tremendous experience. Has kind of experienced the highs and the lows throughout his journey, and really the way that he's played, but also just the investment that he's put into the program. And he's a guy that even this offseason challenged him for just what the expectation was going into this last year, and I think he's really answered the call. And he's injured at the first part of spring. He actually made it back faster than what I thought he was going to be able to, but really has done a nice job with the young players, really pushing himself to be more, and got big expectations for what this season can be for him.
Did that tell you something about him, that he did make an effort to get back quicker than?
Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, I challenged him from coming out of last season, going into this year, for what I wanted to see, and what he needed to do, and nobody ever wants to get hurt, but even in a disappointing situation where you're limited of what you can do on the field, he put in the work in the training room. He put in the work in every part of his recovery, just to give himself a chance to be available those last couple weeks of spring, and it was awesome. I mean, to see him out there, to see him starting to transition into Coach White's defense. I mean, I think it's a really good situation for him, and he's got to have a great summer, and expect big things here this fall.
Malzahn was your mentor, correct?
He was, yeah. So
now having him as your assistant coach, how's that relationship? How's that going?
No, it's been great. I mean, our journey started 20 years ago, and he provided me my first Division I opportunity as his GA years ago. But now getting a chance to work side by side with him is really special, and we got a great relationship. Obviously he's one of the most innovative minds in college football history, and to see him taking control of this offense, and just the way guys are responding to that, really excited about what he brings to our program, and just obviously all of his experience and the things that he's done throughout his career has been invaluable.
Coach, your running game has a lot of promise. Rodale Williams and Sawchuck coming over, and Gus Malzahn, even though he has a reputation for a really solid running game. Tell us what you see from that.
No, I mean, it's something that we need to be productive for us, and that's when you look over the better part of the last 5 years, we've had some really good success in being able to run the football, and then obviously last year was a big dip, and we need to get back to being able to control games on the ground, and obviously the explosiveness of what of some of those guys we have in the backfield, and just the historically, Gus has been one of the best in the country and being able to establish run game and be able to create the explosive plays and what that does there for everybody on the perimeter in the passing game. So it's going to be critical, and but I really like how that group and the guys up front, how they're all coming together, for what our running game can be.
The 3 guys that just got drafted, how special is it each year to see, your players continue into the NFL?
Well, I mean, it's a childhood dream for all these guys, and for them to be able to live that out, all the hard work. You see a guy like Azari Thomas that came in, and he was able to check all the boxes. He was able to graduate, in just a little over 3 years. He was able to, kind of come through. He played as a true freshman, really was only a 1-year starter, but still was able to gain in his experiences each and every year. And then, what I was happy is those guys all went into great situations for them. And, for the opportunities that have been open, and, the positions that they'll be in, I think it's just a great fit. And so they're going to be able to take the lessons they learned here at Florida State and apply that at the next level and expect, big things for them in their future.
I know you're always busy during the NFL season, but have you seen Jarian Jones? Do you get to see him?
Yeah, so
this past season?
he came back for our Legacy weekend, and Jarian is one of my favorites. I mean, I love him. He's like a son to me. I mean, just in his journey, his work. He's got just a special personality, and somebody that I'm always rooting for. So yeah, he came over this off season, and I love getting to spend some time with him. And he's been putting in a lot of work this through this off season, going into his 2nd year. And so I look forward to a big jump for him with new staff and new opportunities. So.
Going to events like these, coming off a 13-0 season, there's probably one feeling, and then going into coming off of this season, the fans are disappointed. Like, what has that been for you, and what's been your message to them?
I mean, it's obviously anytime you have a season like last year, I mean, it's extremely disappointing. I'm disappointed in it, but it's you don't get caught up dwelling on the things that happen. You look at the things that we've done. Coming off of last year, some of the new the new additions, whether it's coaching staff, players, guys that are young, that have grown, really established themselves in new roles, and then what it is to be a Florida State Seminole. And that's I'm proud of this place. I'm proud of our program and the work that we're putting in, and I'm excited about where it's going. So it's one of those things. You never get too high when you're living high, and then obviously when you get knocked down, it's about how quick you can get up and continue to push moving forward. And that's what we are moving forward. And I have great expectations for what's in front of us, and we're going to work every day to go make that our reality.
I want to ask you one last. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Coach, just talking about your backup quarterbacks, Brock Glenn and Sperry. What have you seen in them, and if you had to depend on them, it looks like you could.
No, I mean, those are guys that Brock. I'm so pleased with his growth, his development. He really was somebody that kind of almost unfortunately got thrust into early action in his career, but he was able to take a lot of those experiences and just grow in his confidence through them, even though some of them were really challenging. But I mean, he's always has the right mindset. A tremendous worker, one of the hardest workers on our team, and really pleased with the steps that he's progressed with. And then Kevin Sperry coming in as a true freshman, here as a early high school graduate, and he's hit the ground running, and very talented young man, great with his arm, great with his legs. Definitely excited about what he brings to the program. I think both those guys, with Tommy, I mean, it provides for a extremely talented quarterback room and a group that can really do great things for this program.